afternoon. I'm Melissa Jones, Chief of Staff for Snohomish County Executive Dave Summers. And as you all know, we're here today to hear about his proposed 2023 budget. So with that, I'm very proud to announce and introduce Executive Dave Summers. Take it away, Dave.
You caught me turning my phone off. So, well, thank you everybody for being here today. Very much appreciate you. Do I need to hit the share screen or something? Please mute yourselves. But no, really great to see everybody. It's been 3 years since we've done one of these live, so it's great to see everybody back in person. And mostly smiling faces, but I'll try to make this as painless as I can. But very happy to present my proposed budget this year for 2023. So before I really get into talking about the budget, I really want to offer my thanks, deep thanks to everybody that's been helping with Bolt Creek fire. Like most natural disasters, it really started suddenly. It went from 0 to 8,000 acres in one day. And this isn't in the script, but another bad day of weather, and Index would have been in real trouble, and Snohomish also, so we were fortunate. But the people that in the Upper Valley and around the county really jumped in, hundreds of folks that really sprang into action, took control of the situation. It's fire agencies, law enforcement, DEM, human services, and just the public really rushed in to help the residents of Sky Valley, so I want to thank them. And it's not only residents but hikers out there, and it's still an interesting situation. It's not really theoretical to me. I live out in the East County, and like a lot of my neighbors, I have seen firsthand the incredible response, but also felt the concerns of those living so close to the businesses and residents of the valley. Every day we experience the smoke, so thank you, everybody. The fire is still burning. It remains highly unpredictable, and we're going to just stay focused in the coming days and weeks to keeping our community safe. So thank you again. Encourage everybody, if you have an opportunity to drive along US 2, it's closed today, but as you do that, really encourage you to go to the local businesses, support the communities, and get those folks going again. So that economy really depends on people traveling up and down Highway 2. So if you get a chance, go ahead up there when you can. So, since my first days in office, I really have believed that the cornerstone of all our work is partnership. I want to offer my thanks to all our partners here in the county, County Council Chair Megan Dunn, Vice Chair Jared Mead, Councilmember Nate Naring, and Councilmember Sam Lowe. Thank you for your partnership and everything. I think we work well together, and I'm very pleased with that. I'd also like to thank our Auditor Garth Fell, Assessor Linda Helly, Clerk Heidi Percy, Prosecuting Attorney Adam Cornell, Sheriff Adam Fordney, Sheriff Brian Sullivan, and the judges of Superior and District Courts. We know the needs always outpace available resources, and I appreciate your thoughtful approach that you take to our collective need to be responsible with taxpayers' dollars. It's always a difficult problem juggling the needs and our resources, but thank you all for your partnership. And I really also want to thank our budget and finance staff who give us smart, pragmatic advice, and as we put our budget together, they do an amazing job. It's a long slog through the budget process, but we have an amazing team in budget and finance, so thank you so much. And real shout out, I want to thank every Snohomish County employee. You know, you guys are the heart and soul of the Snohomish County government, and I very much appreciate each and every one of you, and you're the guys, gals out on the front line working with the public. There's just really countless times when I'm out in the community and get thanks for the work you do. There are county employees working around the clock to serve our residents, and we are extremely grateful for what they do every single day. So thank you. So whether it's a wildfire, a pandemic, or the day-to-day business of running county government, collaboration is the key to our ability to serve our residents. We work to establish goals and move forward together towards these goals as quickly as we can. We may not always agree on every detail, but we keep the interests of Snohomish County's residents first and foremost in our work. This year, we had one big advantage. The federal government granted Snohomish County an additional $80 million of pandemic recovery funding. These one-time dollars can be used for strategic, long-term investments, supplementing our regular budget dollars and giving us leverage to achieve even more. We want to be wise and careful stewards of these funds, and I believe we have found key areas for high impact outcomes with valuable input provided by our residents. Today I'd like to talk about how we plan to do several things. Improve public safety, make progress on the challenges of homelessness, community health, and affordable housing, prioritize equity in everything we do, ensure we are supporting our workers in economic growth, and invest in climate resilience and our wonderful environment here in Snohomish County. So I'll talk a little bit first about public safety. As has been the case for many years, public safety remains our top priority. And we put money where our mouth is by spending over 75% of the county's general fund on the law and justice system. The public has a right to expect not only that those who commit crimes be held accountable, but also that we are continually working to make our justice system more just. I strongly believe we can do both. We must do both. While those who are accused of crimes deserve a fair justice system, our residents also deserve to know that domestic violence, drug trafficking, and other threats to public safety are taken seriously and people are held accountable. Our public safety investments will achieve three goals. One, increasing funding to bring those who commit crimes to justice. Two, increase transparency efforts to work towards making our justice system more just. And three, attack the fentanyl crisis with every tool at our disposal. Over the past few years, we've made big investments in public safety. Those include adding deputies, detectives, and deputy prosecuting attorneys, ensuring that crimes are investigated and prosecuted. We've also worked to resolve court backlogs and ensure access to justice by adding 2 new Superior Court judges. I propose in this budget investing more than $10 million of our federal ARPA dollars to continue these efforts. We will build resiliency and efficiency in our law and justice offices by addressing workforce needs and making facilities upgrades to help ensure courts can accommodate remote trials. We know that public safety must be built on a foundation of trust with the community. When community members feel disconnected from our public safety efforts, or even worse, feel like their community is treated differently, then our collective efforts won't make anybody safer. Levels of staffing are important, but it must go hand in hand with transparency and accountability. This is why my budget proposes to continue funding body cameras for our deputies. Body cameras provide benefits for both law enforcement officers and the public. It is the best way to ensure there is a record, albeit imperfect, of encounters between law enforcement and members of the public. I appreciate Sheriff Fortney's support of this effort and will continue to advocate for such common sense approaches to public safety. There are other steps we can take to make sure our justice system is becoming more just. In our 2023 budget, we are proposing to continue funding for the county's Law and Justice Data Collection Initiative, spearheaded by Prosecutor Attorney Cornell. And if we don't know what's happening by trafficking data and tracking data, we can't solve the problems we face, particularly those impacting historically marginalized communities. If this project is successful, we will finally have the data to determine how our justice system is serving our residents and how we might make our system even stronger and fairer. In addition to transparency and accountability, we know that community-oriented policing works. This requires that officers are close to the communities they serve. I am proposing this budget that we place a new sheriff's office precinct near the airport to ensure our deputies have appropriate facilities for covering the busiest beat in Snohomish County. With this new location and improved facilities, they will be better equipped to respond to crimes and proactively patrol. There are a number of areas in unincorporated Snohomish County near the airport where a new precinct can provide quicker response times and a better distribution of sheriff's office assets. Better policing also requires attracting and retaining good people with a commitment to serve the community. I am proposing better, more competitive pay for Snohomish County Sheriff's Office deputies. Like most law enforcement agencies across the region, the Sheriff's Office needs to keep the professionals they have now while also recruiting new deputies. We currently have over 30 unfilled deputy positions, and I'm hoping these proposals will help attract new candidates to ensure we have our full contingent of deputies to address crime across the county. I'm also proposing investments in new fire training facilities to ensure our firefighters and paramedics can keep their skills honed to the highest level possible. As we know from our experience with the Bolton Creek fire, we can expect more significant fires in western Washington, and we need the best possible training facilities to ensure we continue to have the very best firefighters who can quickly respond to any crisis. One important investment that I've included in my budget is upgrading security for our elections. County government is the cradle of our democracy. We are the level of government that has a profound responsibility to ensure our elections are free and fair. By consolidating our elections functions in one county building and upgrading transparency and security, we can ensure that our elections will continue to be among the freest, fairest, and most secure in the world. Our consolidation of elections functions will also save money in the long run because we will not need to lease office space every 4 years. This is an amazing responsibility, and I'm hoping we are greatly increasing our security and transparency for our elections. There is no question that substance use disorder is a major public safety crisis. We have seen the opioid epidemic take a very sinister turn over the last year. One of the greatest single threats facing our residents is the flood of fentanyl into our streets. Fentanyl is 100 times stronger than morphine, 100 times stronger than morphine, and much easier to transport. In fact, we've heard that in Snohomish County, fentanyl pills sell for $1 or $2. In other parts of the country, they can go for $30 or more a pill. So we're facing a very unique challenge, a flood of fentanyl and very low expense. This is a tragedy on multiple fronts. We are seeing counterfeit pills flood our streets, criminals are emboldened, and people are being killed. More people are becoming addicted, with the resulting negative impacts on individuals, families, and communities. But there is hope. Over the last 6 years, we have built the infrastructure we need to address the opioid epidemic and help those struggling with substance use who too often end up on our streets. We launched the Diversion Center to make sure we had somewhere that people can go who want to get off the streets and get the help they need. We established the Carnegie Resource Center to provide all possible services in one place. We expanded available beds for those who need inpatient mental and behavioral health treatment. And we have begun the process of expanding available housing for those who need a place to call home. In the 2023 budget, we are proposing to increase funding to reduce the negative impacts of drugs on our communities. With additional funding, we can work regionally and leverage federal, state, and local resources to make progress. The problems associated with the drug epidemic won't be solved quickly, but I believe we are on the right path. The hard truth is that we cannot solve the challenges of fentanyl, opioids, and substance use on our own. Decisions made at the national and state level have huge impacts on the tools we have available to help people and hold traffickers responsible and accountable. The state legislature will be working on this issue in the coming session, and we are fortunate to have key lawmakers in this discussion from our delegation. I look forward to working with them to underscore the urgency and real challenges we are facing, while working together to find compassionate, smart solutions that help people who need it and deliver justice to the bad actors profiting by exploiting the vulnerable. We know that the public deserves safe communities and a justice system that serves all. The spending we are proposing for 2023 will make progress on our work over the last few years that we've made. To move on to community health, homelessness, and housing affordability for a few minutes. I've already mentioned the nexus between public safety, behavioral health, and homelessness. I'd like to talk a little bit more about some of the investments I'm proposing to ensure we are sustaining community health, helping the most vulnerable members of our community, and providing affordable housing. I'd like first to talk about the major spending we're proposing as part of our Federal American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA. These one-time funds give us the opportunity to make transformative changes to improve our response to homelessness and behavioral health challenges. My plan includes nearly $29 million additional ARPA dollars to increase and preserve housing units and expand behavioral health services across Snohomish County. And the estimated budgets and programming within this $29 million include at least $8 million for behavioral health and substance use treatment efforts, with a focus on increasing available services through the expansion or development of capital projects, and an estimated $2.5 million to expand public health services across the county targeted at behavioral health supports. There is a general consensus that Snohomish County does not have an adequate number of behavioral health facilities to meet county residents' needs for evaluation, treatment, and follow-up. I am proposing setting aside over $4 million over the next 5 years from our House Bill 1590 funds to be matched with another $3 million from the chemical dependency mental health sales tax to to contribute to the acquisition, rehabilitation, and construction of behavioral health facilities. These funds will allow us to continue to meet some of the overwhelming need for more behavioral health services in Snohomish County. As I mentioned, we are looking forward to moving more people into motels we purchased with federal ARPA funds. With those purchases in our Shelter and Behavioral Health Partnership Program, we will be able to increase Snohomish County's shelter capacity by 26% in 2022 alone. That's 165 more beds than we had earlier just this year. We'll continue to look for more opportunities to leverage federal, state, and local funding to open more space for those who are currently unsheltered. Until we have more housing options, we will continue to see people living in encampments, on our streets, and under bridges. For the sake of everyone in our community, we must be creative and persistent, since this problem did not develop overnight, but we are making progress. I've already talked a little bit about our need to improve community health by addressing homelessness, addiction, and behavioral health challenges, but there's even more we can do beyond that. One of the major reasons we and I am so excited about that the health district will be integrated within the county is because of the opportunities we'll have to tackle some of our toughest challenges together. In my 2023 budget, I'm proposing that we invest nearly $3 million federal dollars in strengthening public health through expanded direct services, including mental health services and vaccine clinics for those without other options. I also propose to invest $500,000 of our CDMH funding for our most innovative programs. We must keep implementing strategies that have been shown to work elsewhere, making our communities healthier and safer in the process. I'm very excited also about bringing the health district into the county family because it will give us opportunities to do even more for our residents. And with the support of our human services team, we are going to have new tools in 2023 for improving the overall health of Snohomish County. I'm also proposing additional investments from our federal ARPA funds in our Savvy Septic program. This is one of our most high-impact programs and has proven benefits for keeping our water clean and community healthy, particularly in rural parts of Snohomish County. I'm proposing approximately $8 million in federal ARPA funding for youth programming and facilities with a countywide focus that includes recreation and violence interruption, mentorship programs, behavioral health resources, and community-led efforts to address COVID-related learning loss. There are few things more important and more fundamental to our families than having a home. And yet housing affordability remains a serious and persistent problem. People across all income levels are having trouble affording their homes, whether renters who are being driven out of their hometowns to first-time buyers who are having to move far away from their jobs and job centers. The housing market has been one of the major drivers of both economic and environmental loss. I'm very grateful to the County Council for agreeing to give us new tools so we can do our part as a county to fill some of the gaps, since the market itself has not been able to keep up with the demand for affordable housing. Our commitment means that we will be able to invest approximately $20 million per year in affordable housing. By 2040, we'll have an estimated 2,000 additional units of affordable housing thanks to these new resources. Thank you. I also appreciate the County Council's leadership in finding ways to expand our housing inventory, including making accessory dwelling units and detached accessory dwelling units part of our housing mix now in Snohomish County. These smaller homes and living opportunities can really help alleviate some of the pressure for housing. While the county can't solve the problems in the housing market alone, we do have an important role to play. We won't shy away from finding solutions to problems, even if they are big and seem insurmountable. For every unit of housing we create, it means one less person who risks losing their home and living on the street. We also need the state and federal governments to increase their investments in affordable housing to partner with us. Increasing housing stock is a key linchpin in our efforts to support a resilient, dynamic, and thriving local economy. Without adequate affordable housing, we won't even have workers who can fill all the jobs we need here in Snohomish County. But it isn't enough for people to have a place to live and work. They need training and retraining. I often hear from CEOs and other business people in every sector in Snohomish County that we need to continue to invest in our workforce. Without a trained and educated workforce, we will not be able to complete and compete regionally, nationally, or internationally. Therefore, I'm proposing over $8 million in ARPA spending for implementing our workforce development strategies. This will mean that people who lose a job can more quickly secure good paying employment. It means our working young workers can enter a career field with some hard skills. It means that in a time of tight labor markets, we can attract and retain more businesses right now and here in Snohomish County. Fortunately, Snohomish County continued attracting businesses during the pandemic. Even at the height of the economic disruptions caused by COVID, companies were still saying Snohomish County is the best place for our company. I was amazed through the pandemic, the interest in coming, growing, or relocating to Snohomish County. But we can't really be complacent. These investments that we're proposing in 2023 will ensure we remain attractive for both entrepreneurs and a diverse range of companies of all sizes. One other critical area that we plan to make new significant investments is in childcare. It has become even more obvious since the pandemic that a major barrier to some joining or returning to work is the lack of adequate childcare. Right now, there's a divide in Snohomish County. If you can afford to pay high costs, you can find childcare. But for others, finding affordable, accessible childcare is nearly impossible. The effects of childcare deserts across the county impact all of us in our businesses. But they have an even more acute impact on women who are pushed out of the job market at higher rates due to extremely high costs of childcare. That's why we are proposing to invest $12 million of our federal funding in expanding childcare across the county. We want to make sure that we improve access for as many families as possible. We particularly in places where childcare is extremely scarce. We are also proposing new efforts to support and expand our childcare workforce. Childcare providers are the backbone of a healthy economy, and they need our support. These will be some of the most important investments we'll make with our federal market dollars. As you all know, and we found during the pandemic, broadband is one of the necessary bridges for economic, educational, and cultural opportunity. Our broadband deserts, force people off the economic grid and separate them from opportunity. We received a significant grant from the Washington State Broadband Office to expand broadband from Arlington to Darrington on the SR 530 corridor. I'm also proposing in the 2023 budget an additional investment of $5 million of federal ARPA funding to bring broadband to other parts of the county in dire need of service. And we have a lot going on in this particular area that I can't touch on. Another major part of our local economy is our transportation system, and we're investing millions of dollars to ensure people and goods can easily move across our roads, rails, and waters. In our 2023 budget, I am proposing that we make some significant investments in our roads, leveraging federal and state dollars to keep our transportation network safe and functional. For example, in the 2023 budget, I am proposing to invest $27 million in road construction for 13 projects and continue to provide maintenance for our transportation infrastructure, which includes over 1,600 miles of roads, 205 bridges, 200 signals. Since 2016, we have invested over $700 million constructing and maintaining our county-grade roadways. We have also had a very aggressive program to advocate for state and federal funding for priority transportation projects. Some of the projects that would benefit from state and or federal funding include upgrading the US 2 trestle, completing SR 522, preparing for sound transit light rail stations, particularly at 164th and 130th, and the SR 9 project from 176 to SR 96, and additional funding needed to speed light rail to Everett. We're only 2 years away from light rail finally making it to Linwood. Amazing. If you've been down there and watched that progress, we're getting close. Well, this is going to be a really incredible opportunity for Linwood. It will mean the world to commuters across the county who are now stuck in congestion on I-5. They'll have more options. I'm also working hard to complete light rail to Everett as quickly as possible, bringing the development opportunities that can have transformative impacts on communities from Everett to the county line. Snohomish County's Payne Field Airport felt some of the harshest effects of the global pandemic, but I'm very happy to report that the businesses at Payne Field are once again providing goods and services across the globe, and commercial service has recovered from the worst days of the pandemic, with more people traveling into and out of our airport of choice. Tourism remains one of the most important sectors of our economy. It was before the pandemic, and it's recovering nicely. We have made and are proposing more strategic investments for our sustainable tourism sector. For example, the development of a state-of-the-art mountain biking facility would be an important asset for our economy. We've heard from the mountain biking community loud and clear, and we want to keep them riding in Snohomish County. This will be a multi-year project since we have to complete a plan, identify a location, and then build it. But we are committed to filling this long-term recreational and tourism need. Another important area of recreation spending is our trail network. We're in the process of connecting Snohomish County by trails north, south, east, and west. This not only expands recreational opportunities, but also gives people another accessible option for moving around the county without driving. Even after the economic shocks of the pandemic, our unemployment rate is now at 3.3%. This should give us great confidence, since even when we have major disruptions, our underlying economic infrastructure is resilient. But we need to make investments now to be prepared for future shocks on our systems and people. So the last area I'd like to touch on is supporting climate resilience and our environment here in Snohomish County. As many of you know, I was a fish biologist and forest ecologist before I started my work for the county. One of the principles that we work with in biology is that all systems adapt and change over time. Nothing is static. I thought this recently, really, think about it a lot. I was visiting a major restoration project on Blue Heron Slough. Previous 150 years of diking, pollution, and development had ruined a prime habitat for salmon and other fish. While the Port of Everett was the lead agency on that restoration project, it took the Toledo tribes, federal, state, and local governments, and private partners all working together to achieve this extremely valuable restoration project. The first land acquisition for that project actually happened back in the 1980s. Here we are in 2022, finally finishing it. This is the essence of our biggest challenge and opportunities. We need to work together over sometimes significant periods of time, and then we can achieve just about anything. There are really a few things more iconic to the Northwest than our salmon. And we know from science that the health of our salmon and other wildlife really tells a bigger story about the health of our ecosystem and frankly of our communities and our county. This is why the county is focused on completing resilience and restoration projects all along our waterfronts and estuaries. We can restore the health of our salmon through partnerships and shared investments, and we can be prepared when sea level rise happens. Smith Island was one of the largest and most recent projects, but now we're planning to finish habitat restoration at Meadowdale Beach Park the next year in partnership with Burlington North and many others. It's a great success story. We're getting there, getting close. Added to the other projects our partners have conducted in the past, we have restored approximately 1,200 acres of critical estuarine habitat in the lower Snohomish Delta. This, taken together, constitutes the largest estuarine restoration effort in Puget Sound, surpassing even the Nisqually restoration. When I was starting my career as a biologist in the 1980s, I read many reports, but the Snohomish is one example. It lost over 80% of the estuary function due to diking, grading, and other activities like that. So we've made just tremendous progress over the last few decades on that. So due to additional investments of funds in 2022, the county has increased its design and construction of fish passable culverts, and currently has approximately 35 culverts working through the design and construction process. This is going to be really a major step forward in our effort to replace fish blocking infrastructure. You know, this has been a huge issue around the state for many years, and making progress on this and doing our part as county government is really exciting to me. A major threat to our ecosystem is climate change and attendant fires, floods, and other disasters that come with it. We are fully committed to making Snohomish County and our region more resilient in the face of climate change. To achieve that, we will continue to make progress on our major climate and environmental initiatives in 2023. Both our community-wide climate action plan and our environmental stewardship plan will be further developed next year, and we will be engaging stakeholders to help implement these ambitious programs to prepare for climate change and steward our environmental assets. Our Climate Action Advisory Committee will be engaged in the climate change element of our comprehensive plan and helping us review our climate action plan. In 2023, we'll complete the strategic plan for our land conservation action plan. In 2023, we will also complete the strategic plan for our land conservation initiative and begin program implementation. We'll implement and market our Sea Pacer program in 2023, helping us bring more energy efficiency to commercial and multifamily buildings. The last few years have really been involved in intensive program design and initiative launching processes. In 2023, we'll see these programs begin to make significant progress on our environmental goals. I hoped that the legislature would require comprehensive plans to address climate change. Even though the proposed bill didn't pass in the last session, I plan to use state grant funding and matching county funding to ensure we are doing all we can here in Snohomish County to adapt climate change. We can expect that as our climate warms, the threats from wildfires, storms, and sea level rise will impact us all in ways large and small. Addressing this long-term threat to our county is smart planning, and I hope that the legislature will act next year. We must be prepared. The 2023 budget for Parks and Recreation also includes $500,000 dedicated to community partnership programs. This funding will be made available to our local cities, towns, and other eligible entities through a competitive grant process. And these grants will be a new way to leverage county and local funds, broadening accessibility of park and recreational activities. We're always searching for new ways to empower local communities to preserve land, expand recreational opportunities, and sustain green space. These grants will allow us to make local investments that target real community needs. Climate change, increasing growth, threats to Santa Monica, these are many of the challenges facing our natural resources, and we are going to continue to invest in our efforts to address them, ensuring that we are more resilient and prepared for the future. So I'd like to wrap up, and this has been more painful for me. Well, probably more painful for me than you. But just a few thoughts that there's many investments that we haven't had the opportunity to really talk about today. But I believe we really do have a historic opportunity in 2023 to make progress on challenges we face from public safety, transportation, social justice, economic development, community health, and climate change. We have received significant recovery resources from the federal government, and we are strategically deploying these one-time dollars to ensure we are making lasting change and bolstering our ongoing investments and commitments. That's what our residents expect from us, a model for good, transparent government and strategic problem solving. Snohomish County didn't become such a beautiful place by chance. It was the thoughtful embrace both of our natural environment and of the opportunities for everyone to pursue their dreams. That should be the future we choose for Snohomish County as well, and that is the future that has guided my proposed 2023 budget. So with that, I would like to give Chair Dunn a copy of my proposed 2023 budget, and I'm looking forward greatly to working with County Council as we now begin their deliberations. Thank you. I think that's it.
You're all released.